Hi there. So today I am joined with the expert who's Claire Brummell, and Claire is a fantastic, fantastic person, an amazing friend, but also such a sought after expert in her area. She is a relationship coach, but not only a coach, she's an international speaker, and she's been on the circuit now for quite a long time. And what's really, really interesting about Claire is her following. There's a lot of people that I see that have big databases, big lists of tens and hundreds of thousands of people. Claire's got a relatively small list in comparison, but it is so engaging. They are her raving fans, and they tweet, they promote, they market, and they do everything for her. So today, I would like to welcome Claire Brummell.
Hi.
Hi, Claire. Thank you
Great
so
to
much.
be here.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I genuinely really do appreciate you taking the time out. I know you're very busy. And I want to jump straight in and ask a question that a lot of people maybe don't ask because they don't realise. But how do you engage with your audience? Because a lot of people, they get these sales pages and they create this marketing hype, but there's no engagement, there's no actual connection with their audience. How do you create that engagement? Because you're very good at it, and I know people are going to be keen to learn, and I'd love it if you could just share some of that experience with us, please.
Sure. I mean, I've seen a lot of internet marketing in my time, and it's the sort of thing that, generally speaking, I go, oh no, not the internet marketing types. And there's a lot of people out there that have got that sort of reaction to it. But I think that the part of the reason for that is there's this feeling and this mentality of it that it's about the masses. It's about, you've got to connect with as many people as possible, and you've got to get them to connect with as many people as possible. Whereas obviously my speciality and what I'm known for is being a relationship expert. And relationships are the key to being successful, whether it's in business, whether it's in your personal life. It's about creating a relationship, because people trust people, people like people, and people will buy from people. If they know you and they like you, that's the first step. And the thing is that, I mean, as we were chatting about a while ago, is that for me, the thing that really transformed it for me was when I started to do video, because I created a really good brand that everybody loved. But it was when I got in front of the video camera and started just speaking to the individual who is on the other end of the screen. I mean, what was interesting was when I first started doing video, I got a lot of compliments from my peers. I was doing green screen work, and they looked very flashy and everything. And all the people who were in my network, in my peer group, were like, "Wow, they look amazing! That's great! How did you do it?" Da, da, da. And they were very excited by it. And then I never forget, I was actually out for lunch with one of the people in this kind of peer group. She was like, "Wow," she was like, "You're really normal." I was like, "Excuse me," and I had this real moment of like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Oh, well, I've seen your videos, and you've always struck me as a bit like a news presenter. Like, you look perfect. You're always together. Your hair's always done. Your makeup's always done, and you always know exactly what to say. They always seem perfect." I was like, "Whoa, I really need to change that appearance, because that's not who I am. That's not real." What actually changed it for me was I started by doing a 30-day YouTube challenge, where I did a video every day of 30 days. And about 5 or 6 days into it, maybe a little bit longer than that, we had snow day here in the UK. It was and it was just beautiful outside, and I'd already recorded the day's video. It was uploaded, it was ready to go. All I needed to do was literally just make it visible. And I looked outside and I was like, no, I got to take advantage of this. And I literally just grabbed my video camera, headed out into the back garden, and just shot a video off the top of my head, actually about taking advantage of opportunities and being flexible, just off the cuff. I uploaded it, and everybody raved about it, because they said, "You were so you were so natural, you were so real, you were so relatable. I felt like I got who you were." And that was the point where I realized I had to shift what I was doing, because I've been so so caught up in my head about making a good impression and creating this brand image and being this sort of perfect package, that actually I realized that what people wanted to do was they wanted to connect with me. They wanted to see me. They wanted to find out my story. They wanted me to connect with them. And that was what was the beginning of the change for me. That was what was the massive shift. And then after that, I've done videos kind of all over the world, and everywhere I go, I just sort of literally just grab my video camera, do a quick, just candid to camera, whatever, just sharing my experiences. But the key, I think, for me is that when I'm speaking to the camera, I'm not speaking to my massive audience. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to the person at the other end of the screen. And I want them to realize that my message is for them personally. It's not about me trying to broadcast it to hundreds of thousands of people. If hundreds of thousands of people get the message, fantastic, but I want them to realize that my message is personal to them, and it's from me to that one person. And if you can start to make every single person you engage with feel that unique, feel that special, and that you're speaking to them and that person, and create a relationship with them, even if you're not in the same room as them, that's really powerful, and that's got the ability to completely transform the way that people engage with you.
Wow. Wow, this is exactly why I was excited about having this interview with you, because the knowledge that you have. I remember our first encounter where you was teaching me between masculine and feminine energy, and it was one of those experiences in your life where you can recall the exact moment of where you were in the room because it was so powerful. And this concept, it's something which I've adopted, and which also I know that Sammy, my partner, I know she's adopted, because there is this tendency that you want to create this perfect image, and you want everything, the website's got to look good and the video's got to be perfect. And yes, to a degree, I understand if you're selling a product or something that you may want to come across like that, but that connection, that realness, to have that, I think is so vital, and thank you for sharing that.
It's my pleasure.
What I'd be really interested to know from you is, if I was starting and I was creating a business and I wanted to engage with people, but I wasn't confident, if I wasn't sure about getting in front of the camera and I didn't know what to do, how would I then get that message across to people if it wasn't coming from me? If I didn't feel like I wanted to put that message across, how could I still make it come from me but not physically be me on screen?
Well, there's two sides to what you're saying, and there's I want to answer this kind of in two ways. So the first is, if you're lacking in confidence but you've got something inside that you want to get out, what I would encourage people to do is to do some kind of challenge whereby, when I first got in front of the camera, honestly, I remember it vividly. Like when you say about you remember where you were, I know exactly where I was. I can remember everything about it. And I was terrified. I was like, I wanted it to be perfect. Every single take I was doing, for every video, which was the videos had to be, for the challenge I was doing, between 2 and 5 minutes in length. I was taking at least an hour to record every single video. It's like, no, I need to start again. Oh no, I need to start again. Oh no, I need to start again. And what was really interesting for me was the experience of doing that was kind of twofold. The first is that just getting in front of the camera helps you to get over it. Just getting used to being in front of the camera. You don't even need to necessarily publish them, but just do them. Just actually record them and get used to that dynamic. And the thing that worked for me was, I was actually doing it with a group of, there were 30 of us, 30 entrepreneurial women who did it as like a group project. And so we supported each other along the way, and we all had challenges, and there were times when we got behind with what we were doing, and we kind of supported each other along the way. And what was really interesting for me was that actually through doing that, I realized some really powerful things. Like, for example, when I first started recording the videos, I wanted to give as much value as possible. So I was recording, I felt that the videos had to be 4.5, 5 minutes, like the maximum end, because then I would get across the maximum value. But because I was trying to support these other women who were doing the same thing as me, I was wanting to watch all of their videos, to comment and like and share and all that sort of thing. It was like a collaborative project. The more I work, in my experience, the more we work with other people, the better we all do. So that was a really big thing thing for me being involved in it. And then I realized I was trying to watch 30 videos every single day. And if every single one of those videos was like 4 to 5 minutes in length, that's a hell of a long time. And it suddenly occurred to me that actually the people who were watching these videos and the people who were watching my videos, they might not have oodles of time to sit around watching loads of videos all day. And I thought actually value wasn't about the amount I was getting across. It's the old adage, quality not quantity. And if I could get my message across in a minute and a half or 2 minutes rather than 4.5 or 5, then it's better use of my time. It's a better use of the time of the person who's watching it, and actually everybody wins from that. Now there are times when I've recorded videos that are maybe 10 or 15 minutes long because there's more content in it, but I try and keep it as concise as possible because it honours my time and it honours the time of the person who's watching it. So I got a lot of learning just from getting in front of the camera, and I built a lot of confidence. And these days I do maybe most videos I'll do in one take. I might have a bit of a false start where I kind of have a little literally like a couple of seconds in, and I'm like, if anyone who's seen me watching videos, recording videos, it's hilarious. I'll fudge up and I'm like, oh, but I don't just swear. I'm like, oh, blah, 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 and I make some sort of funny sound or something.
But that's great because
it keeps my energy up.
Yeah, and you're building up this outtake reel, which obviously you can publish at a later date because we're all looking forward to seeing that.
It's going to be hilarious. It's going to be great. I've already got, I mean, the bloopers reel is way more than any of the other content I've got. So now I do it, and I even recorded a video, I think it was last year, which was perfectly imperfect action is better than perfectly perfect inaction. So that is to say that just putting something out there, and I had no makeup on. I literally scraped my hair back. Nothing was done. And I promised myself I would do it in one take. Whatever happened, it was going to go out in one take. And it was because I know that kind of getting caught in that space of it's got to be right. It's got to be right. Actually getting something out there and hearing your voice, getting your voice heard, it's just kind of start doing it, get it out there, start somewhere. And the fact that you're real, and the fact that you are imperfect, and the fact that you're not looking like some news presenter, that's actually what people will connect with, because they'll go, oh, you're human. Oh, you're like me. I can start to create a connection with you. If you seem like this impossibly perfect, impossibly successful person up on a pedestal, so many people look at you and go, well, I can never achieve that. Look, it's perfect. I mean, that's not me. Whereas people, I mean, I've shared through my blog ridiculously. I share everything. Well, I've shared about my personal experiences. I've shared about relationships. I've shared about breakups when I've been going through them, and I've shared about challenges within my relationships. Because when people read that, they know that actually, one, I know it because I've walked it and I've come through it. And two, they can see, actually, she's not perfect. She's just like me. Well, she can do it, then I can do it too. And it means that actually you create a connection, and you remove this sort of disparity between the two, and create a possibility for them to think, I could step into that world too, and they're far more likely to engage if that's the case. So kind of part one, which is the kind of confidence thing. The other thing is that if you want to get something out there, but you don't necessarily feel that you want to do it yourself or feel able to do it yourself, if it's that you don't want to do it yourself, then I totally would support that and find another way. If it's that you don't feel able, I would encourage you to try it and see what happens, because you'd be amazed at what's possible. If you don't want to do it yourself because you just don't feel like you want to be the face of your brand or what have you, the things that I would actually encourage people to do is actually what you're doing right now, which is find other people who can share share what you need to share without it necessarily needing to be your voice and your story. I do feel really strongly that actually when you're sharing your own story, that's what people can connect with. I mean, every time I speak on stage, without fail, somebody in the audience comes up to me afterwards and says, thank you so much for sharing your story. I really resonated with it. You sounded just like me. And that's where the power comes from. So I think that in giving the message delivery to somebody else, you're lessening the impact of what you're doing, because it's the people and the person and the story that you share that gets people to kind of connect and engage. But if that's the route that you want to go down, then what I would encourage people to do is instead exactly what you're doing, which is finding other people who work collaboratively, find other people who are happy to be interviewed. So maybe if you don't want to be sharing the content, you can be the interviewer who's going to help get the important information out of other people, and you're still responsible for sharing that, but it doesn't necessarily need to be your voice who's sharing the golden nuggets of information. You can my experience in running my own business is that the more you collaborate with other people, the more you support each other and help each other out, the better you do. It's amazing the power of working in teams and helping each other out, like we're doing today, and like I've done with other people, and like other people have done for me.
Absolutely. I think that peer group, as you were saying before when we started the conversation, having that peer group around you is so important. I think it's actually vital, because you can create so much on your own, but when you have the ideas and you have and it's the energy, I feel, that you can bounce off other people. Like we have our conversations, and you help me, I help you, and we're alive, we're real. It's not a case of let's just throw something on the internet, see how many people will buy it, and then try and do something else. It's actually creating something tangible that people can use in their life. And this is one of the things that I feel is the reason for Online Mastery. I mean, I've taken a very big detour in what I was originally going to do. I wanted to build websites for people, and I wanted to promote that. Now I see the power in utilising experts like yourself. I could learn about relationships, but you dedicate your life, and your passion is relationships. So you're always going to have that hunger and that knowledge above and beyond what I will learn. You'll always be that step ahead of me, because I'll always be learning from you. So it makes sense to look to people like you for that advice. And one question which I want to ask, because I'm very intrigued as to the answer, is everything that we've said and that's been discussed has revolved around one word in my mind, and that's rapport, and building rapport with people. And my question to you, Claire, is what is rapport for you? What does rapport look like to you?
Wow. How long did you want this interview to be? That's a big question. I think rapport for me is about stepping into somebody else's world. Rapport is when two people step into each other's worlds. But I think that there are two approaches to rapport. There's the NLP approach to rapport, which is great, and it works really well, which is what I would describe as outside-in rapport. So it's about creating the external connections, whether it's in body language, whether it's in external language, whether it's all those things that are happening on the outside, to create a connection that then filters to the inside. And it's looking at what's happening outside and seeing what then can affect what's happening inside, and that then creates a connection. What is, in my experience, far, far more powerful to the power of 10 is inside-out rapport. So that's about being real and sharing what's going on the inside to create a connection with somebody else. So, as I said, I share my experiences, the good, the bad, and the incredibly ugly at times, and I have shared that because I've gone, here, this is me, this is the real me, this is my experience. And when you do that, other people go, oh my God, that's my experience too. And that's when you create a stronger and deeper connection far faster when you get, and that's why I said that actually, if you sort of outsource your telling of your story to somebody else, it loses the power, because people connect with me because of who I am as a person, and people connect with me through my story because my story is so similar to everybody else's, and because I'm not afraid to tell my story. I mean, I can't tell you the number of places. I actually I had a conversation with an international journalist a couple of months ago, who was a guy who was sort of middle-aged. He was very kind of middle-class guy. So he's not somebody who's from the personal development world necessarily. He's not somebody who has been walked a very spiritual path necessarily. So kind of being open to somebody in that space is something that's, I normally find there's a bit of resistance to. But what was really interesting was that he kept sharing this stuff to me, going, I don't even know why I'm telling you this stuff. Like, I'm sharing stuff with you I haven't ever shared with anybody in my life before. And I haven't even necessarily admitted to myself before. And it's a bit weird, but it's really kind of strangely comforting. And I said to him, the reason you're doing that is because you know, one, that it's safe to share it with me, because the presence I bring, but also two, I'm prepared to share my stuff too. And when you are open and real and show the flaws as well as the kind of perfections and all of the great stuff, and you show that you're a human, whole, complete package, that's when you get the inside out. That's when the rapport is built at the core, because it's me taking off all of my masks and all of the pretenses that happen so often in daily life and go, this is the real me. And when you do that, someone goes, oh, I can be the real me. I can take all that stuff off as well. And when you get the real me connecting with the real you, that connection is far stronger than anything you can possibly create through something happening externally and working its way inwards.
Wow, Claire, I'm lost for words, because there's a lot for me to take in here as well. Even though I know this stuff, sometimes to hear it again, and to reaffirm this stuff. If you hear it for the first time, it can be it's a lot to take in. But if it's something that you know, it's so good to hear it again, because we lose sight of this so often. And I'm as guilty as anyone else, and I do it, where I try and systemize things, and I try and put things in place to make life easier for me, but at the cost of the connection. So I'm definitely going to go and have a definitely look inside and see what I can find after this conversation. Claire,
and this is why I do what I do, because this is like creating real relationships is scary. Like, this is new stuff to a lot of people, especially in business. I mean, and this is just as relevant in business as it is with anybody else, with intimate relationships, with family relationships, friendships. The same things apply. The rules are slightly different. The way, the approach is slightly different, but the nuts and bolts of it is the same. And that's why I do what I do, because people aren't used to relating in this way. And figuring out how to do that at the beginning when it's totally new can be a bit challenging. And that's why actually having somebody to support you and say, okay, this is how we do it, and this is what might happen, and this is what might come up as a result of it, whether it's in the business or whether it's in the intimate relationships. There's always stuff that you always have those road bumps that kind of come up along the way. And having somebody who knows this stuff, who lives and breathes it, can really help people along the path. So it's a real honor to do the work I do.
Brilliant. And touching on what you've just said there, if people do want to get in touch with you, if you've resonated with you and they want to find out more, what would be the best way for someone to connect with you, Claire, to continue their journey?
Well, the best way is to reach out to me via the website. I know you're going to be sharing the link to the website, and in fact, there might actually be a couple of websites on there that will be interesting for people to check out for the different aspects, whether it's the business or whether it's the personal stuff. Fantastic. So reach out via the website and connect. Like, reach out to me, drop me an email, connect with me on Facebook, connect with me on Twitter. I'm a real person. I thrive on that connection. I love hearing from new people, and if there's any way that I can support you, I would be honoured to do so.
Claire, thank you so much for your time. Genuinely, really, really do appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for asking me to be here.
Bye.